Khemmis or Khemmis?
Khemmis. It's Khemmis.
Khemmis.
We're not like that schooled on like the background of the name of the city.
Yeah,
so
it's all good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we may have been saying it wrong the entire time. Probably. But also,
it is what you make of it.
No, you know,
it means something for us.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's Khemmis. We looked it up one time.
It's Khemmis for sure.
Khemmis.
Yeah.
Khemmis.
It's like Nike. Like, I think the mystique around the pronunciation adds to the brand.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the Greeks, like I always get really angry when people pronounce them a different way, but like who fucking knows?
Yes.
They could have had Cockney accents.
They're not here. They're not talking about it.
It's true. Yeah. Anyway, hello and welcome to the Serpent Temple podcast and YouTube channel. I'm here with Khemmis. Please do introduce yourselves.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I'm Phil. I play guitar and sing.
And I'm Ben. Oh, you're just going to hold the mic for me. Okay. I'm Ben. Phil's going to hold the mic for me. I play guitar and sing as well, but I sing in an ugly way.
Oh, okay. So we're going to do like a Psycard reading interview format today because you had lots of interviews and you're probably tired of like certain questions. So we're going to try and avoid them. These are based on the Jungian archetypes. So we have cards like mother, father, life, death. If there's anything uncomfortable, we can like move past it or we can just like relate it only to business and not music. But it's as... Whatever card you get, I'll read you a description and you can just tell me how you feel about it, what that reminds you of, and we'll go on a little journey together.
Cool.
Yeah?
I love it.
So
sounds great. Yeah.
We'll probably pull 4 cards, past, present, and then future for both of you.
Okay.
So you can decide who gets the past. Pull a card, any cards.
What do you think? You doing it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
You went the top. You went right off the top.
Was I not supposed to?
It's whatever you want it to be, man.
Yeah, I do what I want. Now, do I look at it or do you look at it?
You look at it. We both look at it.
The moon!
The moon! There's a number on top. It is...
21.
21. Oh, it's a crab moon. I'll read you the moon.
The moon.
Seen any good moons lately?
I have.
Yeah?
I just saw a almost full solar eclipse in Washington State.
That's
like
sick.
a week ago. Yeah.
That's really cool.
It was very beautiful.
I love it when there's like a big moon. You're like, that's cool, man.
Yes.
I'll read you the moon.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. A crab reaches up out of the sea across rocks towards the majestic full moon. The moon is a feminine symbol and therefore stands for the female instincts, the maternal and the unconscious self. It represents the intuitive understanding and healing process of change. However, as well as a sign of fickleness, illusion, and falsity, the crab in this represents the illusion of toughness, yet a soft inner self.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a crab that's grabbed at the moon before. I think that's what I'm supposed to get out of that. I mean, the stuff about change is certainly... wait, is this my past or my...
It can be your past. It doesn't have to.
Well, I mean, it almost feels like a softball there, right? Because it's like, whose past is not filled with change, you know?
It's not the point. You're not supposed to say, like...
I will do as I please. She literally said, do what I want. And I first said, I'm a crab that grabbed the moon.
Let's go in the fucking ring.
All right, let's do it.
We can do this.
Transitioning
That's
to a different thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you my feminine energy. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah, do whatever you want,
Okay,
man.
cool. Show you my fucking crab feminine energy.
Show the crab hands. Signature move.
Yeah, I mean, that resonates with me. I mean, the stuff about, change and being fickle. I have definitely been known to be fickle a little bit or a lot of it throughout my life. It's a thing that I've worked on as I've gotten older, as I think we all tend to. We identify the things about, hopefully we identify the things about us that get in the way of where we're trying to go and who we're trying to be, and try to be a little bit more hands-off, try to surrender ourselves to it. That's certainly a thing that I have done, much like a crab trying to grab them. I'm going to keep coming back to that.
Yeah,
I surrender myself as the moon to the crab pinching me. Maybe I'm the moon.
The moon is a feminine symbol a lot of the time. A lot of mythologies and things like that. So do you find yourself like surrendering to the feminine? Are there parts of you that you've like felt like, I can't be like this, I've got to be like a cool metal band guy, or is it different?
I mean, feeling torn between, a masculine and feminine dichotomy is not necessarily something that I've struggled with, in the sense of, I grew up with parents who weren't particularly reinforcing masculine archetypes. I tend to be a pretty boring straight white man in most respects. I wish I had a more interesting dynamic in terms of my spirituality or identity, but it tends to be pretty white bread for the most part. But I am also pretty empathic, which I think tends to be characterized as a feminine trait. And I have worked for a long time to be more in touch with my emotions, for myself and with regard to the people that I love, to open myself up to love, which, are decidedly things that men struggle with.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, certainly like getting in touch with a more feminine side, a more, open and loving side.
What helped you was it empathic nature, like something that you always had? Or was there something that brought that out of you? Did you cultivate that within yourself?
I mean, a lot of it probably just comes from, I have to credit my wife with a lot of it too, like that she has always been a very positive influence in my life. I like that you're just holding the card up the entire time.
That's so sweet.
No, it's good. We've been together for 12 years now. And as a direct result of her love and kindness and support, I have been able to grow in that way and to be more, it took a long time. It wasn't overnight, to be clear, and it's still a process, but learning to be more accepting of love, learning to feel more open to love, to feel worthy of love, to feel worthy of openness and honesty, either way, from the people you care about. And I can say for myself, masculinity gets in the way of a lot of those things. And so learning to embrace, really anything other than those archetypal masculine characteristics has really has opened me up to the world and vice versa.
Well, speaking of love and opening up to the world, this is your guys' debut show in the UK, and an adoring crowd. An absolutely fantastic set, by the way.
Thank you.
How did it go for you guys?
It was smashing.
I mean, it was great. We played at like 1:30, and that was absolutely the best crowd we have ever played to, like early on a festival or anything. And it was like far exceeded my expectations, at least. It was a great show.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually saw you guys in 2019. You were supporting the Enslaved for the Decibel tour. Yeah. It was at Irving Plaza, so it was great to see you at that small show and then see you again on such a grand stage. I think it really lends to like the music with like all the twin leads and stuff. It was.
I've been saying this for a while, but I feel like we actually present better on a bigger stage. I think the sound has always been like a little bit more grand, and I'm glad that we've been getting the opportunity to play on bigger stages recently, doing support tours with bigger bands and stuff. And now I feel more comfortable playing a show like this than I do playing, like a bar, which is like a weird place to be in my life. But it just seems like it makes more sense for what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, we've worked so hard to feel comfortable, like, in our skins as performers, and then to find, like, the place or places where we are most comfortable. And, yeah, like, being crowded on a stage, like, that level of intimacy with the crowd can be very nice. But also, like, I felt very connected with the crowd here today. The crowd was very open and very, like, I saw people wiping away tears and stuff like that. Like, that's very powerful, Yeah.
I think, well, to be honest, I think the UK crowd's been waiting a long time for you guys to hit the shores. So I think.
For sure. And we know that. I mean, it hasn't been our choice to not be here. Yeah. But this is a good way to make an entrance, right? Yeah. Like, this is the kind of opportunity that I think we've been hoping that we would have to do that. So I just feel really grateful for the whole experience.
We're grateful to have you guys here.
Let's move to the present.
Okay.
This is your gift.
I'll do the present.
Do the present.
Can I cut the cards?
You can do whatever you like with the cards. Well, most of it.
I have a way of doing this usually.
Oh, yeah?
Is that okay?
Do you want me to hold the mic while you do it?
Yeah.
There you go.
We're still waiting for someone to do like a casino style shuffle. Yes.
Oh! Do you play card games?
No, but I do like occasionally do some card readings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like tarot or like similar to this?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so you got the sun.
Yes.
Every band we've interviewed today has got the sun.
No shit.
Every single person.
That's crazy.
I'll read you the sun, and we've shuffled these cards like so hard.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the moon, you got the sun. Interesting.
This feels like a pretty classic dynamic, honestly, a little bit.
I was told you're like yin and yang, so this is interesting. So the sun stands high over the harvest field with wheat sheaves, ripe corn, and cornflowers. Children skip around a maypole in a celebration of fertility of the land. The sun stands for power, energy, and creative forces behind the universe. A male sign, it symbolizes confidence and success and a benign influence on all around it. It represents the conscious power of the intellect.
Yeah, I mean, as a symbol of the present, that feels very spot on for me. I've been undergoing like a lot of transitions in my life. Recently made a big move like across country, and I'm in a new career now. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast now, north of Seattle, in Washington State, and I feel like in a lot of ways, it feels like I'm cultivating something new in my life. So that expression of the sun as a symbol for growth and for like enrichment is very present for me right now. And then also like I've always just been, I'm a Leo, and I don't give a lot of sort of credence to like the astrological signs of things, but I've always been really connected to like the image of the sun and of like lions as like a personal sort of like totem almost. And so definitely like I see myself in that too. Like I try to picture myself while we're playing like radiating like golden light out to the crowd and try to like project something that I want to see back from people in life, often in a lot of ways, you know, in my work and with the band and in my personal life. And so I try to be the sun for the people that are both close to me and not close to me. And, you know, and I think in a lot of ways I've been conditioned into this masculine archetype, but I think like Ben and really like everybody in the band, I'm also a very empathic person and somebody who's had to learn to get in touch with not just their own emotions, but like being accepting of all of the emotions that we feel towards ourselves and towards other people, to try and transmute that into energy that's positive. And I think that the sun is a good symbol too of that, not just of a masculine archetype, but of like the transmutation of energy into this like positive form. And that's something that, you know, like in, like for instance, writing lyrics for this band, I find that we're doing a lot is we're really facing like the darkest sides of ourselves, our night, our moon, and trying to shine light on it and bring some clarity for ourselves and also for the world on like how to address these issues and how to feel about them and how to make peace with them, probably most importantly. So, I mean, I don't have any problems with this. This feels like pretty much exactly where I feel that I am right now. And it's nice to feel like I do finally, because of this move and like the transitions I'm making, am sort of taking control of my life in a more conscious and powerful way also. Not just like sort of going along with what's been done because you're afraid of making that move, right? Of making those transitions. So in that way, I'm also sort of embracing the spirit of this card too. And I think that the band has learned to grow because of us having to focus on ourselves as individuals and figure out how then we make that work together, and that brings in sort of a new source of power for us too as individuals in this group, how to interact with each other and celebrate each other. So there's a lot of things that I think are appreciated here. I mean, one of the symbols that also is in here is community. Yes. Right? Like in the art, I always pay attention to the art more than the like written meaning with cards. And the community is strong in this picture. And I feel that that's maybe the most important and new aspect of my life right now is like the richness of the community that I've helped foster and that I'm a part of and that I'm proud to be a part of. And so that's a beautiful thing about playing music with these guys and connecting with people around the world over a love of this stuff is that sense of community. So yeah, that's a lot. But
there is so much symbolism in just what you said alone. Really. What are your thoughts on that? I can tell you.
The thing that I was struck by with all of this is that these two cards could have been reversed, and your comment about like us having a yin and yang relationship, I think it's very fluid in that like in a given instance one of us occupies more of that space than the other, but it's constantly changing. And everything Phil was saying like absolutely resonates with me as well. Like I feel those same kinds of things. Obviously the specific manifestations in our lives are different, but the idea of visualizing this sharing of energy, this sharing of love with each other and with the audience when we're on stage. I've said for a long time that the stage is my church, and it is the place where I am engaged in something sacred and something communal, something that we can make music by ourselves, but we make something bigger than ourselves when we create music with each other and when we share it with people, like today.
I'll also add that these are adjacent cards in the deck, which is kind of crazy too.
Yeah, it's really crazy you both pick those out.
And they appear to be opposites, but in fact, they're so closely related that these come one after another.
Yeah, and the art is like, the mirrors, like, you've got the moon and the sun above, and you've got things reaching for them.
Yeah.
And like, I find it interesting that you both speak about acceptance, because the sun and the moon, they're both passive things. Like the influence they have is because they're not reactive forces. So I feel like when you do learn to like embrace a community, it's because you're not being reactive to people or the people around you or the people who aren't even interacting with you, just from afar. So you have this like radiance. And I think that shows when you learn how to sort of accept your emotions, like what you were saying. I think that's like part of the whole dynamic that you're talking about.
And I think that represents like overall the phase in our life that we're in the band and with each other, like as people. I think that we're sort of in an acceptance phase. I think earlier in our lives we might have been pushing for certain things more, but like as people, as friends, as partners, as members of a community, I think that I'm more open to listening than I ever have been before, and that is sort of my primary motivation now as a person.
I hate bringing up the word pandemic, but I feel like that definitely allowed people to be a bit more introspective and kind of get over a lot of barriers they had to. I think that's the one positive I drew from the whole real time frame.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I feel like Borat saying like my wife, but like in the context of the pandemic, I spent so much time with my wife, and I know a lot of people for whom that level of being isolated from the rest of the world and with their partner destroyed their relationship. And my wife and I, like, as much as you can say this and not feel bad about it, like, had a blast with isolation. We grew together so much, and we learned so much about ourselves. And so, like, all of the work that we were doing in the band in terms of, growing ourselves emotionally, learning to grow our capacity for empathy and things like that was both, happening in the home and was also being reinforced by the stuff at home.
Yeah. And by, like, just coming back to what's important in our lives, right? Like, I think everybody was so much happier to be able to return to seeing and playing live music again after the pandemic, something that is easy to take for granted when things are just normal, right? And, deciding whether, if you're being faced with people around you that are dying for no apparent reason and not connected to any, like, personal choices or anything, it just, like, becomes a situation where you don't want to just continue the same patterns anymore without consciously choosing something, right? So we all had this opportunity, I think, to pause and decide whether what we're doing is what we want to be doing. And Deceiver, our last album, was really like a reflection of that moment in time in our personal lives and in our collective lives, of choosing to continue on doing this thing, not out of just habit or success or anything, just like looking really deeply at what's being revealed and choosing that it's worth it to continue doing that.
I think you should both pull the future at the same time. We'll do both your futures together if you like.
Yeah.
So who wants to go? You have a less chaotic.
Okay. I'm going to do...
I'll let you cut yours.
Oh, okay.
And we reveal.
Flip them.
Ooh.
Oh, the Fool and the Libido.
Nice, dude.
Wow.
Look at that peacock.
Yeah, I'm a horny ass bird.
He's a horny bird. I'll read yours first because it's first in the numbers. So 17 is a libido. Peacocks are seen flaunting themselves in luxuriant gardens where a snake creeps through the foliage. A fountain gushes up in the background and flowers blossom in beauty to the fore. Libido, and you know what libido means. This card stands for freedom and particularly sexual pleasure. The snake can be seen either as the serpent in the Garden of Eden or as another joyous manifestation of the life force. This card also implies an awakening awareness of the self and the psychic force of the Kundalini.
I mean, to like zoom it out just a little bit to think less about like carnal pleasure and more about joy and pleasure and finding joy in things. I mean, this is true with sex too, right? Like learning to find joy in sex and not just like this disgusting release of hormones and chemicals because we are wretched beings, driven by our own hormones, but like learning to find joy in things that are largely constructed as not acceptable places to find joy, that we don't talk about joy. I think that also applies to art, right? Like learning to think about art as a source of joy, but also a manifestation of joy. And I have found that asking myself questions like, what brings me joy? And how do I, create and cultivate and find joy? How do I share joy? Again, like away from the sex part of it, because I'm not like, I'm going to go out and sleep with everyone to bring them joy. What a horrifying idea.
So horrible.
It's very much a prude. I'm just like, I'm not taking my clothes off in public. I'm not doing that. But learning to... There's a vulnerability in this conversation as well, right? Like learning to be vulnerable is what it takes to find joy, to feel pleasure in the most holistic sense, in the most like elevated sense, and learning to be naked in that metaphorical sense is something that like I have been working on, and it's something I work on each day, and it's something that I very much like the idea of it continuing to be not just part of my life, but like to be my life. That cultivation of unabashed bendness and seeking joy and seeking pleasure, not in the most hedonistic, selfish way, but also not in some sort of, born out of an illusion of martyrdom or anything like that. Finding that balance of pleasure for oneself and joy and pleasure shared with the people for whom we feel true love. Just the prospect of that being what the rest of my life holds, like, fills me with so much joy. I am getting choked up right now thinking about it. So, if this is wrong and this doesn't happen, I'm coming for you because I'm excited about the future now.
That's amazing. I noticed from the get-go how vulnerable you are, and I appreciate that. That's really nice. I'm tearing up now too, so the empathy is overflowing. I'll read your card before I start weeping. The Fool, 32.
Well said, Ben.
That was beautiful, honestly. Piping merrily along the cliff top away from his house perched perilously on the edge. Maybe this is about your move. The Fool dances along, skipping over the roots of the tree. The character can stand for folly and stupidity of the sort that brings so many ventures to ruin in oneself and other people. But it can also symbolize the holy fool, the person who can tell us truths of a sort which a wise man cannot. There can also be the sense of someone playing their own tune through life. You literally said that when you were talking about moving it. You're doing you're not following the traditions of what people expect of you.
That's true. And I think like the other thing that I see in this image, and less so in what the writing is just like, I'm an experiential person, less than an intellectual person. I mean, I think like we all have both sides, right? But like, I'm somebody who would rather just say yes to an experience and just like commit to doing it rather than like thinking about it too much or like planning things. And like, I see myself as the fool a lot of the time for that, because sometimes you end up doing something quite stupid or whatever. But sometimes it also is just about like trusting yourself and your community and your feelings enough to just fall into something.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been really trying to embrace in my life more, and that I want more from my future as well. And so, like with this move and with all these new things that we're doing and with this new phase of the band sort of post-pandemic, I find that I'm trying to embrace, the Fool is a joyous person as well, right? Like I'm trying to embrace like the joy of life more and just give myself into the experience of living in a way that I wasn't prepared to do. I think out of some kind of masculine determination to remain like sort of stoic and like detached, but like trying to release those binds as I'm getting older and just like connecting with like the child in me that wants to experience joy and like fun and love and all of these things. And so, that's definitely something that I'm striving for and beginning to reap the benefits of.
Beautiful.
Whether or not it's foolish to do these things.
I think foolishness it's about like, if you don't take risks, you don't get good things.
Yeah.
If you just decide to take no risks in your life, you will just live a formulaic structured life.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be satisfying even if it went the way you thought it would go.
Everything that's been good that's come in my life has been from me being willing to be vulnerable and put myself into an experience. Yeah. And often embracing something that I'm not good at and figuring my way out in it. Like when we started this band, I had never sung before. figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to make it work for you.
I was the same when I started in our band, and we released our album in the same year as you as well.
Oh,
our first one.
Crazy.
Yeah, because I remember like we were like the same month, I think.
Wow.
That we both came out. So I was like watching you guys grow and grow and grow, and I love seeing the parallels in you guys. It's really cool. We love Lions as well. So.
What is the band?
I don't want to promote it on the podcast. It's called Lowen. It's like Middle Eastern doom.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's why I'm wearing weird clothes today. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Thank you. I don't want to talk about myself during the interview, maybe afterwards.
Well, yeah.
But we are also running out of time, and I don't want to keep Lisa waiting.
Sure.
But thank you so much for your time, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
This is a fantastic way to do an interview. I think
I
it's
wish
really
we
good.
had longer. Honestly.
Thank you so much for having us. And yeah, like we'll just have to do this again next time we're over.
Please.
We'll just
hold more hands.
We'll do a long form one, and we'll all cry.
Yeah.
I'll make sure of it.
We'll
just be hugging the whole time.
We'll just do like this.
Yeah. That would be wonderful. Do you have any fun?
Thank you so much, guys, for your time. One last question from me. I know you guys are both big Priest fans. Favorite Priest album?
Sin After Sin for me. I've had arguments about this with people. It to me is like the most adventurous album, and it symbolizes the kind of band that I want us to be.
Yeah.
Where it's unafraid to do anything. It's all about the song and where the journey takes you. And I think it has some of their most sort of inspired performances, even if occasionally not all the songs like always work in all the sections. It's just such a wide-reaching record, and I also love the production on it. The drumming is awesome on that album too. I think Simon Phillips plays drums on that record, maybe, and it's just like, for me, it's the most fulfilling, probably one of the most fulfilling metal records, period, because of like that sense of freewheeling adventure and just like commitment to a vision and seeing it through.
Oh God, I hate answering what's your favorite questions because like I doubt myself immediately. Maybe Screaming for Vengeance, but also depending on the day, it could be Painkiller. But I'd say it's a toss up between those two more often than it's anything else.
That's solid choices.
Very, very solid choices.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I don't want to anger any of your keepers
That's
for
okay.
today. But yes, thank you for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe.
Thank you so much.